what distinguishes the 20th century from any others is the emergence of absolutely unprecedented forms of totalitarian control of thought and consciousness, and consequently the organization of forgetting. Since the 30s, imaginative literature has had to deal with this unprecedented aspect of 20th century consciousness. Orwell's 1984 contains the famous discussion of the memory hole, the ways in which in the Ministry of Fear certain documents are consigned into this furnace and are forgotten. And that metaphor, the memory hole, expresses our sense that we live in an unprecedented century, a century in which the memory hole is one of the inventions of this century rather than any other. This is also the century, obviously, of Stalin's engineers of human souls. And I think that we forget the extent to which people in the experience of Soviet power consciously identified themselves with the metaphors implied by engineers of human souls. In retrospect, we think of the idea that a political system could engineer the human soul as a tremendously fearful and negative thing. In the 30s, there were Soviet citizens who profoundly, from the depths of their beings, identified with that idea. There's a wonderful remark by Lysenko, the dubious agrochemist and dubious geneticist, whose very name disgraces the idea of science, who in the 30s says very proudly to loud applause, in our Soviet Union, people are not born, they are made. And he took pride in the sense that his consciousness was fashioned by his regime, that his consciousness was fashioned by his time, because that implied a break, precisely a break with the historical consciousness of the Ancien Regime. It implied the possibility that you could so identify your private consciousness with the visions and dreams of a society that your consciousness could be made. And that, again, is a quite characteristic element of the 20th century. It's also, my examples will be Soviet, but it's also self-evidently part of the German experience. Albert Speer, whatever else he was an engineer of human souls, an organizer of human consciousness. The Nuremberg Rally is the attempt to bring together all of the new technologies of the 20th century, Riefenstahl's films, the technology of the searchlight, the technology of sound amplification, the technology of using Wagnerian music, the orchestrating of mise en scène, all the new technologies of theater design, architecture, film, sound technology, everything orchestrated together to create a Wagnerian experience of complete oneness in which the individual soul is, rather as Lysenko said, not born but made or remade in the experience of the communion of souls in a rally. All of these things, of course, I think are historically new, and they create the possibility for rulers of making an absolute break with the cultural past that they inherit and creating new souls who will carry on a new set of traditions.